Admiral Zexveller stood on the observation deck of the indomitable Conquest, mandibles clicking rhythmically as he watched Earth rotate beneath him. The blue-green planet looked peaceful now, nothing like 3 days ago, when precision orbital strikes had shattered its pitiful defenses and brought the primitives to their knees. Pathetic, he chittered to his executive officer. 17 systems conquered, and these humans gave us the least resistance of all. Commander Thrix bobbed her thorax in agreement. They fractured immediately. No unified response, just individual nation-states trying to protect their own territories. A species that never evolved beyond tribal thinking, Zexveller said, his compound eyes reflecting Earth's oceans. The Concordat Strategic Council predicted they would surrender within a week. They lasted 3 days. Below them, New Geneva smoldered. The Concordat had chosen this location deliberately. Destroying a symbol of human peace negotiations sent a clear message about who now dictated terms. The human leaders had been summoned here to sign away their species' autonomy in the same place they once celebrated it. The surrender ceremony begins in 20 minutes. Admiral, said Thrix, the broadcast will reach all conquered systems. Good. Let the galaxy witness how the mighty Concordat expands its rightful dominion. President Amara Chen walked slowly toward the signing table, her torn uniform bearing the insignia of Earth's unified defense force. Her face was bruised, one eye swollen nearly shut. Behind her walked the representatives of Earth's former nation-states, all showing similar signs of defeat and despair. The Concordat delegation waited, resplendent in their chitinous ceremonial armor. Camera drones circled overhead, broadcasting the moment to 17 star systems. Approach, human, intoned the protocol minister, extending a document written on what appeared to be ancient parchment, a Concordat tradition intended to impress upon conquered species the timelessness of their new overlords. President Chen's hands trembled as she accepted the ceremonial stylus. A tear rolled down her cheek. Dropping onto the document, the Concordat representatives clicked in amusement at the emotional display. "S sign here?" she asked, voice breaking. "Yes, primitive. Sign away your species' independence. The Concordat is merciful. Comply, and your people will live as productive subjects." She signed, the stylus shaking violently in her grip. One by one, the other human representatives added their signatures, some openly weeping, others staring blankly as though in shock. Lieutenant Krill Thorax watched the ceremony from the xenopsychology lab aboard the indomitable Conquest. Something about the human's behavior nagged at him. He replayed President Chen's close-up footage, focusing on her eyes. Magnify ocular response during emotional display, he instructed the computer. The footage zoomed in on Chen's pupils as she wept. They didn't dilate properly with the tears. In fact, they maintained perfect control throughout the supposedly emotional moment. Computer, is this consistent with human physiological responses during distress? Negative, Lieutenant. Human pupils typically dilate significantly during extreme emotional states. Krillthorax clicked his mandibles nervously. Print analysis, and forward to Admiral Zexveller's attention. That night, celebration erupted across the Concordat fleet. Ceremonial combat tournaments commenced on the larger vessels. Fermented nutrients flowed freely. Admiral Zexveller himself presided over a victory feast, where he dramatically tore apart a replica of Earth's unified flag to thunderous approval. "To the glory of the Concordat," he proclaimed, "may our dominion spread to every habitable world." In his private quarters, Lieutenant Krill Thorax received a curt message. His report had been dismissed as irrelevant speculation. The humans had surrendered. The victory was complete. Any anomalies in their behavior were simply peculiarities of an inferior species. He stared out the viewport at Earth, beautiful and seemingly subdued. Something isn't right, he chittered softly to himself. They gave up too easily. But his concerns were drowned out by the sounds of victory celebrations echoing throughout the fleet, as the conquerors toasted their latest triumph. 2 months into the occupation, Admiral Valor had established his personal headquarters in what was once the United Nations building in New York. The structure's symbolic significance wasn't lost on him. Replacing the humans' futile attempt at global governance with the Concordat's actual galactic dominion satisfied his sense of historical poetry. Resource extraction proceeds at 112% of projected efficiency, reported Commander Thrix, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. The humans are remarkably compliant laborers. As expected, Valor replied, his compound eyes scanning reports from around the planet. Their spirit broke quickly. Begin Phase 2 of population processing next week. A junior communications officer entered, antennae twitching nervously. Admiral, we've lost contact with mining outpost Krell 9 in the Kuiper Belt. Equipment malfunction. Send a maintenance drone. Sir, we've also lost contact with surveillance stations Omega 12 through Omega 28. All simultaneously. The Admiral's exoskeleton stiffened. 17 outposts. That's not a malfunction. The last transmission from Omega 15 mentioned gravitational anomalies before cutting out. Dispatch the relentless hunter to investigate, Valor ordered, and increase orbital security protocols. 500 meters beneath the ruins of Chicago, in a command center designed to withstand direct antimatter strikes, the real President Amara Chen studied holographic battle maps with Earth's unified military command. Her face bore no bruises, her uniform was crisp and immaculate, and her eyes were sharp with focused intensity. Titan Prime has neutralized the outer sensor network, reported General Marcus Okonkwo. The other Titans report full operational status. And our decoy? Chen asked. A communications officer smiled. The actor playing President Chen continues to convince the Concordat. Her performance during the labor camp inspection yesterday was appropriately defeated and hopeless. The real president nodded. She deserves an Oscar when this is over. She turned to her military chiefs. The Concordat believes they've conquered a fractured, primitive world that barely managed spaceflight. They have no idea what's coming. A massive holographic display showed 8 enormous objects moving through the outer solar system. These were the Titans, humanity's true defensive capability, hidden for decades while Earth maintained the facade of divided nations with rudimentary technology. Admiral Zhao reports Titan Prime will reach attack position in 17 hours, said General Okonkwo. The others will follow at 12-hour intervals. Perfect, Chen said. And the resistance cells. Ready to activate on your command. The Concordat still believes they're dealing with disorganized guerrilla fighters. President Chen's eyes hardened. 50 years of preparation. 3 generations maintaining the deception. It all comes down to the next 4 days. Aboard Titan Prime, a vessel larger than many moons, Admiral Helena Zhao walked through the central command sphere. Around her, thousands of crew members monitored systems that represented humanity's true technological capabilities, far beyond the primitive rockets and satellites the Concordat had observed. Gravitational drive functioning within parameters, reported her executive officer. We're using the outer planet's gravity wells to accelerate without engine signatures. Zhao ran her hand along the cold metal of her command chair, a position she had trained 30 years to occupy. Weapon systems. Singularity cannons charge. Quantum phase torpedoes loaded. Gravity lances calibrated. The Admiral nodded, satisfaction evident in her eyes. Maintain stealth approach. We're ghosts until we choose to become nightmares. On her command screen, 16 Concordat ships patrolled Earth orbit, believing themselves the unopposed victors in a one-sided conflict. Zhao allowed herself a thin smile. They study the stars, but never learn to look behind them, she said softly. Prepare for Phase 2. We'll introduce ourselves properly very soon. In the darkness beyond Neptune, 7 more Titans followed. Their massive forms hidden by technology the Concordat had never imagined humans possessed. The Australian outback shimmered under the midday sun as a Concordat security patrol approached a suspected resistance hideout. Squad leader Vexcar signaled his troops to surround the abandoned mining facility. Bioscanners detect 12 humans inside. He chittered, probably scavenging for weapons. The squad breached the entrance, kit and armor gleaming as they swept through the facility with practiced efficiency. What they found, however, wasn't primitive insurgents but a sophisticated communications array humming with quantum entanglement technology, far beyond what humans were supposed to possess. "This is impossible," Vexcar transmitted to headquarters. "The primitives are using tech at least level 5. Requesting immediate." His transmission cut off abruptly. When reinforcements arrived hours later, they found an empty facility. The patrol had vanished completely. No bodies, no signs of struggle, not even footprints leading away from the site. Lieutenant Krill Thorax sat alone in his small research office aboard the Indomitable Conquest, surrounded by historical texts on human warfare. After his warnings about the surrender ceremony were ignored, he'd been reassigned to cultural assessment, a thinly veiled demotion. Computer, cross-reference disappearance reports from the last month with historical human battle tactics, he instructed. The results made his antennae twitch nervously. 27 Concordat patrols had vanished without explanation. Each disappearance occurred near what humans had once called ley lines, ancient pathways the primitives once associated with mystical energy. Krill Thorax pulled up an ancient human text titled The Art of War by Sun Tzu. One passage glowed on his screen. "All warfare is based on deception. When capable, feign incapacity. When active, inactivity." He needed to speak with Admiral Zexvalar immediately. "You waste my time with primitive texts." Zexvalar's mandibles clicked in irritation as Krill Thorax stood before him in the command center. "Admiral, these disappearances follow a pattern, and I've detected unusual gravitational anomalies at the edge of our sensor range. Gravitational anomalies in a star system are natural occurrences," dismissed the Admiral. "Not these, sir." Krill Thorax displayed a sensor reading. "These show evidence of controlled manipulation, and they're moving." "Enough." Zexvalar's carapace flushed with anger. "You're reduced to observer status, effective immediately. The humans are defeated. Their technology is primitive. These readings are sensor ghosts or natural phenomena." As guards escorted him out, Krill Thorax noticed something on the main view screen, a momentary distortion in the space near Mars, as though light itself bent around something massive yet invisible. Mining ship Captain Drenvox guided her vessel through the asteroid belt, harvesting precious minerals for the Concordat war machine. A dedicated officer, she nevertheless questioned the ease of their conquest. "Proximity alert," announced her navigation officer. "Large object, bearing 037. Asteroid?" she asked. "Negative. Structure appears cylindrical. Massive." The object drifted into a shaft of sunlight, momentarily illuminated. It was easily 10 kilometers long, with a metallic surface bearing markings that appeared human in design. "Record visual and transmit to Fleet Command," Drenvox ordered, maneuvering closer. As they approached, the object simply vanished. One moment it dominated their view, the next it was gone, along with the laws of physics as the Concordat understood them. "Helm, get us." Her ship disappeared before she could finish the command. No distress call, no debris field, as if it had never existed. In his quarters aboard Titan Ascendant, Captain Omer Khan watched the Concordat mining vessel dissolve into its component atoms, harvested by the Titan's matter conversion systems. "Threat neutralized," reported his tactical officer. "No transmissions escaped." Khan nodded. "Recycle their raw materials into our shield reinforcement." "Nothing wasted." His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, Admiral Zhao reports Titan Prime is in position. The other Titans have reached their designated coordinates." "Good." Khan studied the holographic display showing Concordat forces scattered throughout the solar system, blissfully unaware of what surrounded them. The enemy remains ignorant. Yes, sir. Their orbital defenses are still oriented outward, searching for external threats. Khan smiled thinly. They should have looked inward first. Prepare for Phase 3. In 24 hours, we show them what humanity really is. Beyond the viewports, Mars glowed red. The Martian colony dome gleamed under the pink sky, transformed into a celebration hall for the Concordat's official victory ceremony. 3 months after Earth's surrender, Admiral Zextvalar had ordered a grand parade to formally establish Concordat dominion over the Sol system. "Let the ceremonial fleet approach," Zextvalar commanded from his elevated platform. Below him, thousands of Concordat officials watched as their most magnificent warships performed a choreographed approach toward Mars. The Admiral's compound eyes reflected the approaching vessels. "Activate the broadcast. Let all conquered systems witness the glory off." The sky tore open. There was no other way to describe it. Space itself seemed to split above the Martian colony, the fabric of reality parting to reveal something massive emerging from what appeared to be a localized fold in spacetime. Titan Ascendant had arrived. The human battle station dwarfed the largest Concordat vessel, appearing like a small moon suddenly materialized above Mars. Its surface bristled with weapon systems, unlike anything in the Concordat's arsenal. "Impossible," breathed Zextvalar, mandibles frozen in shock. Before the Concordat fleet could react, gravitational weapons activated. Concentrated singularities formed in precise locations, tearing the flagship Inevitable Victory into component atoms in seconds. 2 more capital ships suffered the same fate before anyone could process what was happening. "All vessels, open fire," Zextvalar shrieked into his communicator. The remaining ships launched everything they had of the human station, only to watch in horror as their energy weapons passed harmlessly through sections of the structure, while others remained untouched. A human voice boomed across all communication channels. "This is Captain Amir Khan of the Earth Defense Force. Your conquest of Earth was a tactical illusion. Your victory celebration is premature. You have 1 hour to surrender all forces." On Earth, the false President Chen stood before Concordat officials in Geneva, delivering her weekly statement of human compliance. Mid-sentence, her features shimmered and dissolved, revealing a sophisticated holographic projection. Similar disruptions occurred simultaneously worldwide as apparent collaborators revealed themselves as Special Forces operatives. In New York, Admiral Zextvalar's second-in-command watched in horror as 3/4 of their loyal human staff transformed before his eyes, drawing concealed weapons with practiced precision. The Concordat Command Center was secure in human hands within 90 seconds. Lieutenant Krill Thorax, confined to quarters for his disruptive theories, watched through his viewport as reality shifted around Mars. His research had been correct. Humans had mastered gravitational manipulation technology that the Concordat had only theorized was possible. His door slid open unexpectedly. Instead of guards, a human female entered, tall, with dark skin, and commanding presence. "Lieutenant Krill Thorax," she said in perfect Concordat speech. "I'm Captain Nadia Okonkwo, Earth Defense Force. You're the only one who saw through our deception. We've been monitoring your communications. You planned this from the beginning," Krill Thorax realized. "For 50 years." She handed him a data crystal. "This contains safe passage codes. When you present them, our forces will escort you to a neutral location." "Why spare me?" "Because understanding an adversary is valuable. You understood us when your leaders wouldn't. That deserves recognition." In the underground bunker beneath Chicago, the real President Chen received the encrypted message she'd waited decades to hear. "Titans engage. Operation Eclipse underway." On her command screen, a private communication channel opened. Admiral Zextvalar's face appeared, mandibles twitching in rage and disbelief. "You deceived us," he chittered. Chen's expression remained neutral. "We knew you were coming for 50 years, Admiral. Everything you've experienced since entering our system has been according to our design. Impossible. Your technology was concealed. We showed you what we wanted you to see. While you believed you were studying us, we were studying you. As 3 more Titans emerged from concealment near Venus, Jupiter, and Earth itself, Zex Valor finally understood the truth. The primitives who supposedly couldn't defend their own planet had out. Space rippled near Venus as Titan Resolute emerged from its dimensional fold. Near Jupiter's orbit, Titan Defiant materialized like a nightmare-given form. In Earth's orbit, Titan Inexorable appeared directly above the former United Nations building, casting a shadow across the Atlantic. Admiral Zex Valor, now trapped in his command bunker beneath Geneva, watched in horror as his mighty invasion force was systematically neutralized. The Concordat's superior numbers meant nothing against weapons they couldn't comprehend. Status report, he demanded, his kitten paling to a sickly yellow. Titan vessels employing unknown weapons technology, reported his tactical officer. They're creating localized gravity distortions that fold space around our ships, sir. 37 capital vessels lost. No survivors detected. Another officer chittered nervously. Admiral, we're intercepting quantum signals between the human battle stations. Their coordination is perfect. Zex Valor's compound eyes narrowed as realization dawned. These aren't newly arrived reinforcements. These stations were already here when we arrived, weren't they? Hiding. Waiting. On the Concordat homeworld Sithkar, the Science Directorate convened an emergency session. The partial data transmitted from Sol before communications went dark had thrown their entire understanding of humanity into chaos. How did we miss this? Demanded Chief Scientist Ovenelax, her vestigial wings vibrating with distress. Our assessment classified them as pre-spacefaring primitives with fractured planetary governance. A xenotechnologist brought up holographic images of Earth's visible infrastructure, primitive satellites, basic chemical rockets, outdated digital communications. We assessed them by their visible infrastructure, he explained. Our probes detected nothing resembling advanced technology, because they deliberately hid it from us, realized Ovenelax. Our first contact protocols never considered a species might intentionally appear less advanced. Aboard Titan Resolute, Colonel Sofia Mendoza watched as her gravity lance reduced a Concordat dreadnought to its component particles. The aliens were fighting bravely but hopelessly, their tactics designed for enemies who played by the same technological rules. Colonel, called her science officer, we've decrypted more of their tactical database. They believed our maximum technological capability was nuclear fission and chemical propulsion. Mendoza laughed despite herself. They never found our fusion plants beneath the ocean floors, the antimatter production facilities disguised as particle physics labs. No, ma'am. Their assessment protocols focused on obvious infrastructure, underground facilities, ocean installations, and lunar bases completely escaped their notice. Mendoza studied the tactical display showing the remaining Concordat forces being systematically contained. 50 years of hiding our true capabilities, maintaining the facade of divided nations, squabbling over resources, while secretly uniting against external threats. It worked perfectly, Colonel. They never suspected the Titan program. Lieutenant Krill Thorax, now under human protection, was given access to historical records that explained everything. The humans had detected Concordat signals a century earlier. Instead of broadcasting their discovery, they had prepared in secret. The research budgets of 1,000 trivial-seeming projects had actually funded sections of the massive Titan vessels. Military exercises disguised as national conflicts maintained the illusion of division. Scientific advancements were deliberately kept from public view, creating the false impression of a species barely capable of reaching their own moon. You evolved as ambush predators, he realized, reading accounts of ancient human hunting techniques. Your entire civilization is built on the principle of the perfect ambush. Captain Okonkwo, now his liaison, nodded. We studied your species for decades. Your ancestors evolved as overwhelming force predators. Direct, powerful, and numerically superior. Ours evolved to use terrain, patience, and surprise. Krillthorax's antennae drooped with understanding. The Concordat never stood a chance, did we? You would have, she replied, if you'd asked one simple question. Why did Earth surrender so easily? Outside the viewport, another Concordat vessel vanished in a flash of gravitational distortion, its atoms scattered across space by weapons that had existed, hidden but ready, from the moment. Supreme Commander Zex Valor sat alone in his bunker beneath Geneva. Outside, the sounds of battle had faded. His once mighty invasion force had been reduced to isolated pockets of resistance that the humans were systematically eliminating. The door slid open. Zex Valor expected human soldiers. Instead, he found himself facing the real President Chen and Admiral Helena Zhao. Guards flanked them, but their weapons remained holstered. You come unarmed to face your enemy. Zex Valor clicked his mandibles in confusion. We aren't here to kill you, President Chen replied, taking the seat across from him. We're here to explain. I need no explanation from primitives who somehow acquired advanced technology, he hissed. Admiral Zhao activated a holographic projector. That's where you're wrong, Admiral. Your fundamental misunderstanding of humanity led to your defeat. The hologram displayed a timeline spanning a century of human history, showing the moment Earth's deep space arrays first detected Concordat signals and everything that followed. Your species conquers through overwhelming force, Chen explained. Ours specializes in turning strength against itself. You thought us weak because we showed you weakness. You thought us divided because we showed you division. You thought us primitive because our advanced technology remained hidden. Impossible, Zex Valor chittered. No species conceals advancement. That's your evolutionary blind spot, Zhao countered. Your ancestors were hive predators who overwhelmed with numbers. Ours were persistence hunters who studied prey, anticipated movements, and struck at the perfect moment. The hologram shifted to show the enormous underground complexes where the Titans were constructed, the quantum entanglement networks disguised as inefficient satellite communications, the antimatter production facilities hidden in ordinary power plants. Your species evolved for direct confrontation, Chen continued. Ours evolved for strategic deception. The Concordat has conquered 17 systems because you've never encountered a species whose primary evolutionary advantage wasn't physical strength or technological aptitude, but strategic thinking. When your probes first entered our system, Zhao added, we showed them exactly what we wanted them to see. Empty oceans hiding our underwater cities. Primitive rockets concealing our gravitational drive technology. Political conflicts masking our unified purpose. Zex Valor's compound eyes reflected the holographic images in fragmented dismay. Why reveal this to me now? Because understanding prevents repetition, Chen answered simply. The Concordat needs to understand why it failed here. The Admiral's posture slumped. You've destroyed our fleet. Reinforcements will arrive within days. Admiral Zhao smiled coldly. Your empire relies on faster-than-light communications we've been blocking since you arrived. Your reinforcements aren't coming. Your empire doesn't even know you're losing. Chen leaned forward. Your species asks, how strong is the enemy? Ours asks, what does the enemy believe about us, and how can we use that belief against them? For the first time in his long military career, Zex Valor felt something alien to his species' psychology. The dawning comprehension that strength alone guaranteed nothing. On the Concordat homeworld, Senup psychologist Vernax presented her findings to what remained of the High Command. Humans evolved as ambush predators, she explained. Their earliest hunting techniques involved appearing weak or injured to lure prey into a trap. This strategy is encoded in their psychology and appears throughout their cultural development. She displayed intercepted Earth literature focusing on military deception, from ancient texts like The Art of War to modern military doctrine. This playing dead to strike later behavior is unique among spacefaring species we've encountered, she continued. In human mythology, their greatest heroes often achieve victory through cunning rather than strength. The matriarch of the High Command clicked her mandibles anxiously. You suggest their entire surrender was a ruse, their planetary defenses a facade. Precisely, Exalted One. While we studied what they showed us, they studied what we didn't know about them. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one with the largest. The Sol system had been secured. The Concordat invasion force lay in ruins, its survivors contained in magnetic confinement fields aboard the Titan vessels. In Earth orbit, Admiral Zhou conducted a holographic meeting with President Chen and the Unified Defense Council. The Concordat believes this was merely a defensive action, Zhou reported. They don't realize the Titans were designed from inception for both defense and offense. The strategic display shifted to show the 8 massive vessels in formation. Each Titan contained thousands of smaller craft, battalions of power-armored infantry, and resources to sustain extended operations. 4 Titans will remain to protect Earth, President Chen decided. The others will strike at the heart of Concordat space. The holographic map expanded to display the Concordat Empire. 17 conquered star systems arranged around their homeworld, Sithkar. The captured Concordat databases had provided complete strategic information, including their faster-than-light communication nodes. Without these communication hubs, General Okonkwo explained, indicating 7 critical points, their empire fragments. Each system becomes isolated, unable to coordinate defense. President Chen's eyes hardened. Proceed with Operation Sundering. Aboard Titan Vengeance, General Marcus Okonkwo addressed his assault teams. The massive vessel hummed with activity as dropships were loaded and weapons systems charged. For a century, humanity prepared for this moment, he told the assembled troops. We studied their physiology, psychology, and military doctrine while they remained ignorant of ours. On massive screens behind him, detailed holographic models displayed Concordat anatomy, highlighting vulnerable points in their exoskeletons. Other screens showed their typical defensive formations and command structures. Every one of you knows more about fighting the Concordat than they know about fighting humans, Okonkwo continued. Their tactics rely on overwhelming force and numerical superiority. They have no concept of asymmetric warfare. The troops, representing every former nation on Earth, stood in silent determination. They wore advanced power armor that concealed their human forms, making them appear as fearsome as any alien species. We strike their communication hubs first, Okonkwo concluded. Without coordination, their empire collapses. Humanity offers one chance for surrender at each target. After that, we eliminate resistance with precision and efficiency. A rumble passed through the massive vessel as its gravity drive engaged. Space-time folded around Titan Vengeance, creating the artificial wormhole that would carry it across light years in moments. Fold complete in 30 seconds, announced the navigation officer. Okonkwo took his command position. We are humanity's vanguard. We carry Earth's response to those who thought they could conquer us. The stars outside the viewports stretched and twisted as Titan Vengeance entered the fold. The Concordat homeworld had never been threatened in 10,000 years of expansion. Its orbital defenses, formidable arrays of energy weapons and missile platforms, all faced outward, designed to stop conventional attacks from materializing at the system's edge. They were utterly unprepared when space tore open directly in the upper atmosphere. Titan Resolute emerged from its gravitational fold mere kilometers above Sithkar's capital city. The sudden displacement of air created a thunderclap heard across the continent. Warning sirens wailed as the massive human vessel hung impossibly in the sky, dwarfing the tallest Concordat structures. On the planet's surface, civilians froze in terror. In the Imperial Spire, the Concordat High Command stared upward in disbelief. Impossible, whispered the matriarch. No species possesses technology to fold space with such precision. The human's message, transmitted simultaneously to every communication device on the planet, was brief. Your forces invaded Earth without provocation. We eliminated them. Surrender your military capabilities immediately, or we will dismantle them ourselves. Across Concordat space, 3 more Titans appeared with similar ultimatums. The species that had celebrated victory too soon now faced 3 years after the fall of Earth, the galactic political landscape had transformed completely. The Concordat, once the undisputed power across 17 star systems, existed only in historical archives. In its place stood the Sol Alliance, a coalition of willing species united by principles of self-determination and mutual defense. In the Great Hall of Unity Station, formerly the Concordat capital on Sithkar, Admiral Helena Zhao and President Amara Chen hosted representatives from 87 worlds. Some were former Concordat member species who had chosen alliance over subjugation when the Titans arrived in their systems. Others were newly discovered civilizations that had been hiding from Concordat expansion, using deception tactics remarkably similar to humanity's. President Chen approached the central podium, her formal uniform bearing the new insignia of United Humanity. 3 years ago, we faced extinction at the hands of conquerors who believed their victory was assured, she began, her voice carrying to all corners of the vast chamber. We did not seek that war, but we have secured this peace. Today, we declare the age of conquest over. The age of cooperation begins. The assembled delegates, representing species with physiologies ranging from insectoid to crystalline to gaseous, signaled their approval according to their various customs. The applause, clicks, light pulses, and pheromone releases created a symphony of agreement that transcended biological differences. After the ceremony, former Lieutenant Krill Thorax, now Ambassador Krill Thorax of the Free Thoraxian Worlds, approached Admiral Zhao in the diplomatic reception area. His once dull exoskeleton now gleamed with the iridescent colors of liberation. Admiral Zhao, he greeted, performing the human gesture of a bow he had learned. Your counterattack was brilliant, but something has puzzled me since the beginning. What's that, Ambassador? Zhao asked. You knew we weren't all willing participants in the Concordat's expansion, he said. Your forces targeted command structures with surgical precision, but spared civilian populations. You even distinguished between conquered species and willing collaborators. Zhao smiled. Another deception, Ambassador. While the Concordats studied our visible technology, we studied which species they had conquered and which had joined willingly. We prepared different strategies for each. Remarkable. Krillthorax's antenna waved in appreciation. From prey to predator to peacemaker in one strategic movement. Near the outer boundaries of the reception hall, President Chen was alerted by her security chief. Madam President, long-range sensors have detected a Concordat holdout fleet approaching the system. Approximately 30 vessels, heavily armed. Chen nodded calmly. Inform Admiral Zhao, but maintain the celebration. This was anticipated. At the edge of the Sithkar system, the Concordat holdout commander, War Prince Zexmelan, broadcast his ultimatum. Surrender the capital and restore the rightful empire, or face annihilation. Minutes passed with no response, confusing the War Prince. His tactical officer grew increasingly nervous. Sir, our sensors detect no defensive movements, no ships launching, no weapons charging. They mock us with their indifference. Zexmelan chittered angrily. Commence attack pattern. Space rippled around his fleet as 4 Titan vessels decloaked simultaneously, having positioned themselves strategically days before. The holdout fleet was surrounded not by visible warships, but by the distortion of space itself. We anticipated your arrival, War Prince. Came the human transmission. Your empire is gone. Your choice is simple. Join the alliance as equals or be eliminated as threats. In the observation lounge overlooking the former Concordat capital, Ambassador Krill Thorax watched as the last remnants of the old order surrendered. He finally understood the fundamental truth about humans. They were always thinking several moves ahead, preparing for possibilities others couldn't even imagine. As the celebration continued, Admiral Geo gazed thoughtfully at the stars visible through the vast viewports. The universe is vast, she mused. What other challenges might be waiting out there? The view widened to reveal that Unity Station itself was being transformed into a new kind of Titan, not a weapon of war, but a massive generation ship designed to carry representatives of all Alliance species into unexplored space. Humanity had mastered the art of appearing weak until the perfect moment to reveal their strength. Now they would teach their allies a new art, appearing strong while extending a hand in genuine peace.